All right, so here we have it. All the way from Canada to sunny Southend in the UK. This is Blue Fate's Game Gear, and the what we're doing with this one is we're going to mod it with a funny playing Game Gear board uh, and a new LCD, and we're also going to stick on a new glass lens right here. And on top of that, this particular one, we are going to swap out this here LCD, LED, and we're going to go for a green one. So some of you have already seen my custom GG has a blue LED, um, and it's a bit dirty. But yeah, this Game Gear blue LED, blue case, custom power, and all of that sort of stuff. So we're sort of going relatively in line with this one, giving it a full upgrade. I'll just grab a few bits down here. We've already started to obviously take the case apart, and this is going to need a good old clean. It's a VA1 single ASIC, and my camera. Come on, camera. Wait. It does this sometimes. It just doesn't like something, and I don't know what it is. Normally, it can be resolved by lighting. So let's throw some lighting down, get a little bit of light on the situation. So yeah, going to record this one from start to finish, and that may require a couple of sessions. So I think we're going to do an hour now, hour or so, see where we're at, and we'll go from there. So I think the first thing to do is let's get the little Game Gear modding pack over, and this is just these are all my caps for. Oh Jesus, what have I done? I think I have put them all upside down, which is standard for me. Let's just sort this out before we move on. But yeah, with this one, we're going to give it a good old overhaul, good old clean, recap it with ceramics. I think the power board was agreed that it was an SMD recap with alloy electros, which is fairly normal. Want to keep it stock there, I think. And then we are, as we always do, we're going to do a SMD recap using MLCCs on the mainboard. So I'm just going to start the stream in Discord because I'm a little bit behind on that. So let's get that running. And then I think we're just going to get started on it. So preview camera. Yeah, cool. Turn the camera on. Right, okay. So, and obviously rear, already taken it apart. Got a box full of the parts for it, just here, with all your parts in. Now, what I am going to do, because one of the things I noticed here that I'm not a big fan of hold on a sec, let me just put some of these parts here. I'm not a big fan of cutting these. So I'll probably give this one back to you. I've got some early JP model ones, and the early JP models have a pre-cut one of these that doesn't have this back section on it that you'd normally cut off. So rather than destroying one of these, I'll send this one back and I'll replace it with a one that looks like this. So this is an early JP model, and you can see the difference here in that you've got this one that covers the whole back section and fouls the new screen. And then on the early JP models, they had this particular one. And this is basically what you want to do with this. You cut this whole section off, but it's never that clean. So rather than that, I'm going to give you an early JP model cart protector, and that should put us in good stead. So with all that out of the way and some explanation on what I'm doing, let's get into it. Oh, put this away. That's your one. Fantastic. And that's your one for your box. Fantastic. And yeah, I've broke the screen on my scope, annoyingly, so I'll show you. But it's okay, because I can push the scope to the PC. Look, I knocked it here, and it went kaboom. But never mind. I need a new scope. I've been saying I need a new scope anyway. What I'm probably going to do is remove it from the LCD and put it on a boom arm, and then remove the scope from the LCD, put the scope on a boom arm so that I can pull it around. I'll 3D print a bracket for it. I did already 3D print a bracket for this build, so let's just grab that and include it. This is a bracket for the screen, and the idea is that this will hold all the screen in place, and then when you put it back together, you've still got the let's just grab this. You've still got the doodah here, which is the membrane that stops all of the dust getting in. And as you can see, perfect fit. So we will stick the membrane to that, connect that in, and that will give us the seal to make sure your screen doesn't get the hairs and dust that it's already got on it from inside the case. Over time, these get brittle. This one's actually pretty good, but I might need to find a better one if it's no good. So we'll have a look at that. But I've got a load of spares back there. So yeah, without further ado, I guess, let's rock and roll. So I think what I'm going to do is, how I normally start this is I just go at it. So I'm going to remove all of these. And this might look a bit aggressive, but this is genuinely the best way to remove these. I'm going to put my little recapping station out of the way. So we're just going to get straight to it. And we're going to remove a whole load of stuff off this board. We're going to strip it down to the bare minimum that we need to get this this mod done. So let's just start by freeing all these and removing the glue that holds them into place. Now, one of the big issues that people don't often clean up is the glue on these systems, because you get this horrible red glue once you've done the recap job. If you want it to look clean, you've got to clean that glue up, and doesn't always clean properly, but you know. What I am doing here is taking a little session off work to get this done. These are all Game Gear bits that I've taken off previous Game Gears. I think for this one, I did say that I would return all parts, because that's what I do. So I'm going to get a little box or something, a little bag maybe. This bag looks alright. Little bag, and we'll just start putting parts in as we remove them. So let's pop parts in and let's go for it. So this cap here, I'll show you the caps that are leaking, so you can see what I mean by the leakage on them. So let's try and get a little bit of, I should put it under the scope really, but to show you, yeah, maybe I'll set the scope up in a minute and just show you, but there's quite a bit of corrosion. Come on, camera. Let's see if we can get a little bit of light on it and whether that will resolve our issue there. And okay. Sort of not. When you pay this much for cameras, you don't expect them to be so bad, but yeah, apparently they are. And apparently this can't focus for shit. So let's give it a clean. The old shirt method is probably the best method for this. Give it a clean. There we go. Let's see where we're at. See if we can get some. Yeah, that's a bit better. So here we go. Let me just grab some of these and try and show you. You can see just down here. Oh God, there we go. We had it in focus and now we can't get it in focus again. There we go. And every time I bring my stuff close, it tries to focus on my hand rather than what it should be focusing on, which is the board. So can you see the top side there of just here? That's all corrosion. Just built up on the pad. Not a major issue. And it will certainly clean up. We've got the same on this one here, which is the other 1UF. So I'll just start by pulling these off. And without doing damage, of course, because, you know, the key here is to do that. You've got to break that nicely, and then you won't do any damage because the legs are basically rotten over years. These caps are 30 odd years old, you know, and at the time, they weren't renowned for being good anyway. So, you know, it was that period of poor caps, I think they call it. Right, early 90s capacitors are just junk. So, some corrosion around C45 here. Again, no big deal. And C43, again, a small amount of corrosion, but again, no big deal. And as we go down here, C1, we have some leakage and some corrosion. Again, this is fairly normal, you know, it's not, this is no different to a lot of the others that I see, apart from there has been 2 caps replaced. Don't know what these caps are. Let's get it off and we'll have a little look. But imagine Blue Fates told me you'd done this one yourself, so it could well be a decent quality cap. But you never know. So I'm just going to give this the same as the others. I don't want to put too much pressure on the board side, so I'm not going to. KMG, not a brand I've heard of, but again, doesn't mean they're bad necessarily, just means that it's not a brand I've heard of. So we're going to pull this little fella here. Looks to be, yeah, there is. So there's some corrosion around video mem, which I will get an up close of for you. In fact, I might put the camera into PC mode if I can, maybe. And then I'll just show you the corrosion on this. I'll clean it up. So I'm going to turn this off and back on and hope that it goes, and well, I mean, it may be asking, and I just don't know. 1, 2, 3, okay. PC camera. I believe PC camera. Let's have a little look. I mean, we can test it out, because what we can do is we can add the microscope in to the scene, maybe. Properties. Okay, so it's not 3, so let's turn it off. Where I've broken the screen, I can't remember how many buttons it is, so I'm going to go 1, 2. Is that PC mode? It might be. It might not be. Maybe not. This is what happens when you break your camera, lads. Okay, so it's not 3. So it must be 4. Must be 4 clicks. So turn on. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That looks like it could be PC mode. I am going to have to buy a new mic. That looks alright. Okie dokie. So, Properties, capture only. Sorry, I'm just fiddling. There we go. So I think the thing to do is, I've not got my head in it, so let's put it up this corner so I can give you the once over on the board. We'll put some light to it. I can't remember, that was 3 clicks down. Whatever it was, it doesn't really matter, does it? Right, so I just want to show you some of these board issues, I guess. So let's have a look down here. I'm just going to show you one at a time some of the issues that I've seen here, because although not major, certainly going forward you don't want those issues. So you can see just down here on these pins, this is exactly the sort of corrosion that you expect to see. So this is the video memory, and you can see this corrosion around here. Whether that's yeah, it's definitely corrosion. But it's all right. We'll reflow this area and fix that, because we don't want that coming back to bite us later. That's not ideal. Over here, you can see the C1 cap. This area, leakage and corrosion. Again, not a major issue. We'll clean that up nicely, but you can see just scraping that electrolytic away. Plenty of corrosion there. Over down this side on the C1 cap, sorry, not C1, this is C41, or is it C4? Cannot remember. C4. Yeah, this cap's C4, so we'll clean up this area nice. No issues with the SD memory, so that's good. Oh, I've pressed buttons. Don't know what buttons have I pressed? Is someone ringing me? What is the situation here? This is crazy talk. I'll be back in a minute. I'm getting a call on WhatsApp. So yeah, let me take this call and I will come back and carry on. Or I will. There it is. Fantastic. Right. Okay, so yeah, back in the game. My apologies. So let's just go through and have a little walk around here. You can see the corrosion on this pad. This is pretty bad. So pad, this is the C54 one I was talking about. This is one that always goes. I reckon we can clean that pad up nicely. Worst case scenario, we'll have to run a jumper there. It's not the end of the world. I mean, the console does work, so there was obviously some continuity on that pad. So we'll check through that. This one's not too bad. And then as we head up here, you can see battery acid, not battery acid, you can see the corrosion starting to set in around these two here. So you got a little bit on this. Again, it's just electrolytic. You can see where all that is. So we will be pulling all of that off. And this lot here. Hey dude, how you doing?
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah,
Pretty good
good.
so far.
I am just doing a little walkover of your console. We've got, how long have we been working on it? Not very long. So I have been recording for about 20 minutes, but I took a quick break to take a phone call. So, but yeah, we're just get it under the microscope, just having a look at some of the corroded pads I was talking about, just kind of walking you
Oh yeah.
around. But overall, it's a good board. Nice board to start with. You got these C49. These two normally get quite corroded, but actually they're pretty good. You got some corrosion down here on C1. Let me just find it. There you go. Look, electrolytic leak around here. You can see. But that's okay. That can be no major issue there. That will clean up nicely with the right flux.
Okay. Yeah.
Down over. This is the one I was talking about. These are the ones that always get bad. So this is over with the 0.47 UF. Again, it's just electrolytic corrosion, but
Yeah.
it seems to have hit the pad quite hard. But again, I think we can clean that up. Worst case scenario, we run a jumper from L6 here and create a new pad. So yeah, L6 runs straight down to this, and that's the only place it runs. So we can check that against the schematic, but I think this pad's going to be fine. It looks like a little bit of scraping on it. It looks like there's still good pad underneath.
That's good to know. Yeah.
And I mean, all of the rest of the board is pretty damn clean. Obviously, I'll remove all of these smelly glue stuff, but I haven't put any flux or anything on it. All of this kind of liquidy stuff you see is electrolytic from inside the cap.
Yes.
So
yeah,
but for a console that's so old, yeah, really nice, really nice. You don't get many nice ones. They're normally fairly rotten, especially if the original caps are still on there. But this one's in good shape.
Yeah. I only replaced 2 of the caps because there's like tacky stuff that looked like it was coming out of them. I've been
Yeah,
told it was glue, but well, it stopped working. I mean, when I replaced those 2, it started working again. So I was like, well, that solved it.
yeah, definitely. So the stuff that comes out of the caps is actually, so the caps are filled with electrolytes.
Yes.
And it's just electrolytic leak, but it's very acidy, so it eats away at the board.
Yeah.
But you know, this one's in pretty good shape. Having a look over here, I don't know whether you've spotted this, but on the RAM, so this is the video RAM down here on these particular ones.
Yes. That some of that stuff was on one of the chips.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is either really horrible dried flux or a little bit of corrosion, or the glue under. So what they do is they actually glue these chips down, and but this looks to have caused a little bit of corrosion up on these. So I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna remove all of this gunk, and I'm gonna reflow these pins anyway, just to be sure. Because what we don't want is to send it back and later down the line, you know, in a year or two, for this to go bad and cause these to short or cause any problems. So we'll pull that out, clean up this area, and just reflow all these bottom pins, just to make sure you've got fresh solder and they're nice, good connections. They look pretty good. I mean, this one's had a reflow before. You see this pin in the middle. This pin looks like at some point it's been hit, but that could have been touched when you were doing these caps here. So it's not a major issue, but it does boot nicely, and I did manage to get a video I did manage to get some video out of it as well.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you know it worked? It does work. I mean, technically,
Yeah, I knew it worked. It just the screen was very.
almost impossible to see.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was like using RF. It was like that kind of connection.
So anyway, we've removed all of the caps, and in order to prep the board, we're going to remove a large majority of components over this left side. So we'll be removing this cap here. We'll be removing this transformer. We're going to remove this cap. We're going to move this coil. We're going to remove Q3, Q4, Q6. We're going to remove R33. We're going to remove these two resistors here. We're going to remove 41, 44, 38, 43. So this side of the board will be very much less components on that side of the board. Then
Mhm.
after that, we're going to come over this side. We're going to remove these 4 resistors, and we're going to bridge them.
Mhm.
So we're going to put bridges across all of those because uh, these are the data signals for, well, you can pick them up from several places on the board. So you know that board that I showed you that had all the damage
Yes.
with the millions of jumper wires? Uh,
Yeah.
that particular board, um, these 4 here, so this is so down here on this particular point here, which is just a via, you've got DW, and then you've got D0 here on R15, R16, 15, 14, 13. These 4 are data 0 to data 3. Not in that order, but so we can, depending on how clean the screen comes away, it looks pretty clean to me. I think it's going to come away absolutely fine, and not cause any damage on the traces there. But depending on how that comes away, depends on where we'll run our kit from. But my normal build for these is I would normally I normally bridge these resistors and then run all my
Mhm.
jumpers one side of the board to the mod
Ah.
board. But you can run. There's multiple locations you can run from. You don't have to run it uh, from the other side of the board. So you've probably seen most of my builds. I run cables directly off of these up into the
Mhm.
up into this screen compartment here. But you don't need to do that. If all of these are damaged, which on this one they look nice and clean, no rust, nothing like that. So
Yeah.
these are going to be fine, and I'll run it in the normal locations that I normally run my mods from. Give the best longevity, and I'll obviously I will, once I've done all of the wires to hold them in place nicely, I'll be using just a little bit of mask on them just to keep them in place, hold them nice, so that years down the line they're not going to come apart. As I've been going
Uh.
through, all your parts are going in one of these, and this will be returned to you as all of the parts for it. So if you ever wanted to return it to completely stock with all the original parts, you could
Mhm.
potentially do that. Not with this screen though, because this screen's total junk.
Yeah.
All of
Oh yeah.
there's like a million dead pixels on it.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened. It was.
They burn out.
Yeah.
They just burn
Yeah.
out over time. The quality of, I mean, for the time, these were amazing. These screens were
Yeah.
amazing at the time. But by
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
today's standards, they're really total junk. You know, um,
Yeah.
and not worth keeping. I think the doing it, modding it, is absolutely the way forward. But a lot of people are worried about the mod process because of the amount that you remove from the board. So some people kind of get a bit worried that you're removing, what, 30 components from the board. So if you end up removing 30 components and you can't get it working, then you've basically got a junk board, which is
Yeah.
what happened with that previous one that came, the one I showed you with all the work I put into it. Someone had tried to
Yeah.
mod it, damaged the points that they know were available to them, which are all those points at the bottom there, and then
Mhm.
ended up pulling some traces up. They pulled up. You see this? So on your board, it's the same. You've got this FB signal here is the clock signal, and I can show you the clock signal on the oscilloscope if you want to see it. So what happens is for a Game Gear to boot, it needs certain signals to, they call it red light boot, and that means that this light, the red LED shines,
Mhm.
And that means that the Game Gear ASIC is functioning, or is at least booting as it should, which means that A, it's getting 5 volts at this bottom pin in the corners. It means that you're getting a H sync and a V sync signal, so your vertical sync and your horizontal sync are in place. But it also means that the oscillator, this thing here, the crystal oscillator, is pushing a clock signal into the ASIC. Now, some people get a bit excited, and if you put too much solder on these points and then solder the wire on, these points are a little bit fragile, and you just pull them off the board. So, but if you pull them off the board, you then need to solder a wire between the top of this resistor right the way down into the ASIC, and of course the ASIC is quite difficult to solder to unless you've got a microscope or whatever, unless you know what you're doing, right? I guess. So
Mhm.
the board that I had, someone had ripped these two pads up, and I think that's
Ooh.
where they gave up. So
Yeah.
yeah, they ripped those pads. They ripped a ton of pads over near this diode. So
At
D1
least
dot
they admitted, like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna stop.
yeah, I reckon what they done is they, you know, after a little bit of damage, you're like, right, I'll carry on, I'll carry on, I'll carry on, as long as it isn't so damaged that I can't finish the build. But I guess what they did is they messed up a few bits. They were like, okay, well, it's still salvageable. It's still salvageable with the skills that they've got. It's still
Yeah.
salvageable, still salvageable. And then you get to a point like that where you're ripping the ASIC, you're ripping traces to the ASIC.
Yeah.
Then I guess that at that point they were like, right, okay, it's not
I
salvageable
don't know
anymore.
what. It's like I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I should
Yeah,
stop now.
yeah, exactly. It's past my sort of uh, my level of knowledge at that point, or whoever's level of knowledge was trying to do that build before. But
If you're wondering what was on that chip you were talking about, I sent a picture of what was on it
what chip's
in
that?
the uh fucking stream chat. Like you said, you just stuff like looked like it was on a chip that looked like corrosion.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I found a picture of what it was. It was just like
Ah, cool.
tacky clips.
Yeah, well,
Like,
it definitely looks like some of the glue that they use underneath. So
yes,
let's have a little look at that. Yeah, look, it looks like they've used. I don't know. You see, I've not
I
seen that on any GG before.
yeah
That's not a normal
yeah
thing that I've seen.
yeah. Two capacitors had that stuff on it, and those were the two I replaced.
That's
And I was
weird.
looking. Yeah, I basically I heated it up and then I pulled it off,
Yeah.
which
Well,
made that more.
I'll clean it up. I don't think it's going to cause any major issues, if I'm honest.
I don't think so either,
I don't
because
think it's definitely not. I did actually test continuity between the different pins, and I don't believe that that it would cause any shorts or anything. But I don't know. I don't know what its composition is. So I think get as much as it off as we can and just clean up that area. I think is a smart move. Um, and then we'll pull all of this off. We'll clean up this area. All these vias look fine. You've got no black vias on this board, so you know there's one. I saw one or two black vias, like one here, but I tested the via, and this via is fine. You had a bit of corrosion over this side of the board. You can actually still see it. A little bit of water damage around here, but again, it's just surface level. There you go. I'll scratch it off here. You can probably see that.
yeah,
You can probably see the little white staining around here. But again, that's no major issue. The one thing I'm curious about is what resistance we need for a green LED. So a
yeah,
blue LED, I started off at, so the standard resistance is 4.7K for the original LED, this one. But original LEDs back in the day, they were crap, right? Today's standards, they're much more efficient, they're brighter. The
mhm,
problem that is during the day, if you've got gameplay during the day, absolutely fine, you'll never notice because it doesn't shine or reflect off into your eye.
yeah,
But as soon as it gets dark and you fire it up, it just blinds you. So
yeah,
I'll need it for a couple of days just to test even in play um,
yeah.
and to tune that resistor for
Oh,
this.
okay.
So I mean, I would imagine if I get a clear run at it today, I'll probably finish this in the next few hours.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
might have to. Yeah, I might leave soon just so I can make some breakfast.
Mate, you go for it. I'll be just in here doing it. I'm recording all of this anyway. I've recorded it from the beginning, so I'll pop it on YouTube after. And
Cool.
it's my wife's birthday, so I probably, when she finishes up work, I'll probably leave it for a couple of hours and come back to it. So
Oh yeah.
it'll be in a couple of parts probably. It'll be like part one prep, part two, you know.
Oh
So
yeah, I get that. Yeah.
within the next sort of hour or so, I imagine that this board will be completely stripped down. All of the caps will be replaced with the ceramics. We're using ceramics on the main board, yeah? So ceramics for the main board, I think are the best caps. They never leak. You'll never have problems again. You'll get the next 10 years or more out of it. I'm going to use standard electrolytics on the power board because I've got some nice Rubicons and Panasonics. So I'll hit you up with some Panasonic and Rubicon on the main board. Just a better quality, you know. I don't buy cheap capacitors. I'd rather use
Yeah.
high quality, good capacitors that are going to last for years. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's the right way. You were looking
Have a
for
good day.
on the you got two options on your soundboard, and I don't really care what you go for. You can have either in the price, it doesn't matter. Let me get a couple of soundboards and I'll show you these two options. Bear with me. So these two are pre-capped. These are just ones that I've capped to sell. But you've got an MLCC.
Okay.
MLCC, you get a nice sound. Sometimes you can get a bit of scratching through it, depending on your board. But I'll be happy to put them on, and if it scratches, then go back with the original SMDs. Because
Okay. Yeah.
what you do get with these is you get a louder, crisper sound. So because with these you've got these two 47 UFs, so we'll be actually replacing those for a different value, and what that gives you is just a louder sound, louder,
Okay.
probably a bit cleaner. With this you get a kind of more muted sound like the original. So these are exactly like the original. You'll get that kind of clean, slightly muted sound. With this, it kind of just opens up that sound a little bit and gives you a little bit more volume. And yeah, just a little bit of a kind of crisper, more. I can't. So this feels slightly more natural, whereas
Yeah.
this is a bit crisper, a bit louder. And yeah, I mean, really, there's not much in it. There's not a huge amount in it. But I personally prefer the sound of these. But some
Yeah.
people prefer the sound of these. And
Yeah.
it's totally up to you. I mean, personally, I'd go
Mhm.
with these first. And if you don't get any scratching and you get good sound, then I'd stick with those because
Okay. Yeah.
you
Well.
don't get leakage out of them. Even though these are high quality Panasonics, in
Yeah.
5 6 years time, you will get leakage on this one and on this one, these two here, and you will have to replace them again in 6 7 8 10 years, whatever it might be. But you'll get that same
Yeah.
issue that you originally got. If you use the ceramics, you'll literally never have to replace them ever again, and you'll get that quality sound that you're looking for. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I think I'd probably go with ceramics myself.
Yeah.
But
I
again,
think so, that might be a better choice.
yeah,
Yeah.
again, you can have these if you want. I mean, what I can do is I can throw you in an additional soundboard if you want, and
That'd be cool.
I can give you like one of these as a spare, so that
Yeah.
you've got a spare soundboard, so you can swap between the two and see what you prefer. So
Yeah. I
more
think
than
that'd be.
happy, yeah, more than happy to stick one into the package for you, so that I'll build it up with one of these, and then I'll stick a spare one of these into the package, um, so that you can swap between the two and see what you prefer.
Okay. Sounds great. I gotta go. I
Yep,
gotta get going.
mate,
Have a great day.
go and have some breakfast, and I'll catch up with you later and let you know where we're at.
It's great. See you.
All right, see you, mate. Okay, so yeah, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Anyone here who knows me, they will know that it is rude to work on someone else's console without either having a drink or a beer. Um, we know we do our best work when we're slightly drunk. So I'm going to go and do that. I am going to go and grab a drink and come back with a drink. So give me 2 minutes. All right. Well, apparently beer is not the way forward. So, uh, ooh, so we're going for something a little bit more in keeping with today's celebrations. It's my wife's birthday, in case you didn't know. So, but she's working away. So while she's working, I'm having a play. So get the good flux out. Top Nick, just a good flux. If I'm doing, this is quite funny. If I'm doing work for a project like this for somebody, and I want to do a really nice job, this is the flux I'll use. If I'm basically doing like a switch and it's just kind of like, okay, bought it for 50 quid, want to sell it for whatever it is, double money, whatever, then I'll use the cheap fake Amtech. There is 100% a difference. 100%. This flux is just better. But again, it's preference. Some people love certain fluxes, some people don't. I don't know, I'm easygoing. So we're going to start, we're just going to remove the screen. We're just going to remove some things that tend to get in the way. And then we'll come back and clean up after. So Game Gear board, recommendations. So it's a thin board. I think it's 2 layers, really thin. If you hold it up to the light, you can actually see through it. Don't hit it with big heat. You're looking at sort of 320 to 350 on the iron. And if you're hitting it with hot air, 100% you want to go around that 300 to 350 mark. Again, you don't want to be much higher than that, just because of the problems it causes. Oh, Jesus Christ. So, yeah, getting this thing to focus. There we go. Put its focus in. So I'm just going to kind of get on with some of this rather than sitting here chatting away to myself, but to you. So we just want to get this off as clean as possible. We don't want any damage to any of the pins. So it's all about taking it real slow and just, using a little bit of heat, just a tiny bit of heat to it, and just keep heating those pins up really gently, lifting it away. So this is on the one I done yesterday. It was apparent that this is not how the people tried to remove that previous screen. There we go. Look at how clean that is. Lovely clean pins. This in the bag of goodies. There we go. So first bit done. Next up, we want to be removing our CFL tube. No need for a CFL tube in this day and age. So we'll just start by giving that a good old push out, and there we go. That's one side of it gone. And over this side again, just pulling it out. We'll go back and we'll clean up all these holes, and pop the CFL tube in the return leg bag. Next up, the fuses. So we are going to pull this fuse, and we'll pull the fuse the other side. These are the fuses for the LCD. So we'll pull those. Being careful, these get brittle, and they sometimes break on the way out, like this one just has. But it's fairly common practice on these fuses that they break on the way out. I've actually seen shorts occur from these fuses on the 35 volt, and it's always one side for some reason. They just kind of I'll try and put it under the scope here, but you can see they just sort of pull themselves out. So yeah, there's a hole that side where there should be stuff, but anyway, we'll pop that in the bag, ready for the return leg. And we're going to pull this fuse over here as well. So what I tend to do is just get these in there, give it a good old little tug, and just get some heat into this here. And they don't always come out clean. There we go. Every single time they break. Like I say, they're really quite brittle. But it's good because we don't need them. Easy to replace, cheap if you do want to. So what we'll do before we put the mod on is, you can see we'll go back and we'll empty all of these vias out here. We'll empty that out. Everything you see here will be removed. So we'll come back to that and we'll hit that up shortly. But first things first is getting the board fully prepped. I didn't take off these two caps over here, so I'll hit those two caps up as well. Gonna need this, but I expect this mod to happen over maybe a couple of days, and the reason for that, as I said, it's the wife's birthday, so I'm only doing this while she's busy, and then I want to spend some time with her. So that's what I will be doing. So yeah, maybe a two-parter. Oh, hello. I've got friends today. It's been one of those days. Actually, people texting me and things. Yeah, nothing important. I'll call you Ari this. Wow. I've just received 6,500 emails. I have no idea what this person is sending me. Who are these? Like, genuinely, I have no idea. No idea. Anyway, let's get into it. So, next part is obviously our cleanup. So, cleanup starts, in my book, with some of this bad boy. And we're just going to go in and start removing stuff we don't need, keeping stuff we do. Again, I'm not going to put it under the scope. This is not work for a scope. This is work for the eyes. So we're just going to go in there and add solder, a little bit of heat, and just make these pads nice. Some of them might need a little bit of extra encouragement. That looks good. But yeah, all I'm doing is adding plenty of solder and using that to remove the old solder and clean these off. So you end up with, oh Jesus. Now, if you've ever recapped a Game Gear, you'll know the Game Gear smell. And that is exactly what I'm experiencing right about now. Jeez. Yeah. Beautiful. So down here, these ones always a little bit more tricky to get off, but again, the trick is add plenty of solder. There's a little via here that's full of corrosion, so I will check that via before we rebuild. But I think what I'm going to do as well, I'm just going to hit this little patch here as well, a little glue patch, and then I'll go back and clean all of this up with, a bit of flux on that one. So this one was quite bad, quite a lot of corrosion there. So we'll just lay a little bit of flux down on top of it. and go back and re-clean it. Again, probably add a little bit more solder, just a bit of flux over this area. Not too much, don't need a huge amount. But get us cleaned up. Now, this has continuity with that resistor next to it, so you don't need to worry about bridging those. You just don't want to cause too many problems there. But yeah, just clean up that glue. Glue stinks, but I do like to be fairly thorough with my glue and make sure I've removed as much as I can. Obviously, you can't remove everything every time. Sometimes it just doesn't work like that. But again, nice pads here. Apart from that corner of the pad, but again, we should just be able to clean that up with some fresh solder. There we go. Looking good. Sweet. Yeah, black via under this cap. Not the normal one that I see broken. Oh, it is the one that I've seen broken a few times that is for your bottom button. So, and it was broken on the one I did yesterday. So this would be this button here, button number 1, on a working GG. So again, I'm not concerned about that. So let's hit the 1UF, or what will be the 1UF ones. This one had some of the worst corrosion, so really going to hit that with as much of this as I can, just to try and, I might have to vinegar that bad boy because it's not looking too healthy. And as I'm scraping, I'm not getting much in the way of pad being revealed. So what we might do is just grab up the IPA and give that a quick once over and just look at what we're working with. Again, I'm not too concerned about this one. It's something we can rebuild if we need to. It only comes down from the L6 transistor above it, so not a problem most of the time. Just give it a little scrape until we start seeing something that resembles a pad. Right now all we're seeing is rust. Oh, there we go, look, something resembling a pad. I like that. Definitely a little mound of corrosion on it, but I'm doing my best to, what I don't want to do is replace it if I don't have to. Because we just want a good clean build here. So if we can get rid of as much of that corrosion as we can and reveal that pad, then we should be in a good place. But as I'm scraping, all I'm getting is just corrosion coming off, nice brown corrosion. Look at that. That doesn't look bad at all, that. Well, blind man would like to see it at least. So let's just lay down a little bit of solder there and just make sure it takes. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, well, we recovered that without causing any damage, so that's nice. And we're going to just get in here and clean those two. Again, you can't ask for cleaner than that. That just come off absolutely beautifully. And let's hit C1. C1 next. So I'm always just adding solder. That's what I'm doing. Adding solder. This is just a rosin core, old solder. Where we can, we're just using the iron to, give it a good old scrub. But it's always on the, tends to be on the ground side. I don't know why, but corrosion tends to build up on the ground side of the pads. On this one, we've got one of those pads like we had back there. It's nasty, but not beyond saving, I don't think. So the trick is here like this and just keep scraping. And what you'll get is you'll just get brown stuff coming off of it. Don't be concerned. Just keep scraping it. You don't want to go too hard because you will lift the pad and you will cause damage. So we're just going to keep gentle scrape, IPA, gentle scrape until you don't really see any more brown coming off of it, or kind of grey brown colours coming off of it, and it looks kind of a little bit shiny. So there we go. That pad there should now be in a position to accept some solder. Look at that, absolutely beautiful. That pad is looking fresh as a daisy. If we need to, we can, you see at this point, I mean, this one's probably not going to need it, but on some where the pads are bad, I'll then come back with a load of wick, and I'll wick them all up and get a nice kind of baseline to work with. But this console is not even close to the worst condition one I've seen. So there shouldn't be any need for that on this particular console. So we're using TDK ceramics on these. I believe this batch I've got are TDKs. Are they TDKs? Yeah, I think they were. So good quality ceramic on them. What is that? That's like some sort of yellow nastiness. Oh god, and that stinks. Yeah, that yellow nastiness might be what gives off that nasty fishy smell, but apparently that is a sign of, if you're working on it and you're getting the nasty fish, that is a sign of electrolytic leak. So something we see fairly regularly, and we're just going to hit up this. So over here we've got a nice glue bubble, and I do think that the issue, what we thought was an issue maybe over on this VRAM chip, with all of that nastiness, is probably, so over time what happens is this glue goes a nice kind of, I say a nice, it's a nasty kind of yellow colour, and we get nastiness. So, but in this instance we've got none of that. We just got a little bit of nastiness down here. Again, all of this is clean upable. That's not even a word, but I'm going with it. That's good. All right, so the cap everyone hates is this one up here, C68. This is the cap that getting to access is a bit nasty, and often the positive side, which is the side closest to the 5-volt rail up here, is difficult to solder, and this is the one that tends to rust out. But the trick is to be patient. Don't rush this job. You don't need to. There's no need to rush. Yeah, I'm not rushing. No need. You see, I'm enjoying it, savouring the moment, getting it just right, so that, look, there's two things. I want to be happy with the job that I'm doing, and I also want the person whose console it is to be happy with the job. So that means just doing a nice job, right? You know, it's not rocket science, just do a good job. So this one generally always ends up with a little bit of solder on that ground pad. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. It's better than normally you get a rust on these ground pads, and that's always a nightmare. But a little bit of solder on here, no one's going to be complaining about that. There we go. And clean that up. But what I really want to do is just a good job. Like I said, take it slow, do a good job, get it right first time. Customer's happy, I'm happy, because I know that we got quality work. You know, and that's the deal with these things. So that's looking pretty clean. I'd love to get that a bit cleaner around that area, but geez, that stinks, this area. I mean, it is clean enough. So now I'm just going to go around cleaning up any glue that I can see or any nastiness, because we don't want to leave the nastiness on the board. As much of the glue and nastiness off as we can, so that next time someone comes to it, they're going to look at it and they go, that's a clean board. And we've got glue down here. So what I do to get the glue off, you'll notice I use the sharp knife for everything, knife tip, and we're just running the sharp knife gently over it. We don't want to break into the PCB, because it will cut into the PCB. We just want enough knife there to clean up the glue, but not enough to scratch through to the PCB. If you scratch through the PCB, it's not the end of the world. You can just put a bit of mask on it and move along. Generally, where they put this glue, there's generally nothing running. Some people leave the glue. I don't know, I like the cleaner look, and I think it just looks like a bit more of a professional job if you clean up as much as you can. You know, it's like the instruction manual will tell you to only remove like certain stuff around here for this mod, but I'm going to remove quite a bit more than the instruction manual, just because, again, cleaner job. And it just looks cleaner. It's not even about being fundamentally better in any way that it works. It's just about how it looks, right? If you were to open it up, how does that look to you as a user, or as just a normal kind of, if you open something up and it looks clean, you're going to be happy. If you open something up and there's glue everywhere, you might be like, well, why is there glue everywhere? And what's the situation? So you always get a bit of this part of the board really thin on that top layer. So you always get a bit of scrape away of the PCB up here. But it's only ever a tiny bit, and it never causes any issues. And you can mask it at the end, or you can just leave it. Makes no odds. But this is what I call the nasty area of the board. They always look the same up here, always. There we go. Perfect. So this is a board now. This side of the board, clear as a daisy. We've got some issues down here we need to deal with. This one and this one. And then we can start putting caps back on. So I'm going to hit up down here with the glue, or get this glue off. And yeah, the glue on this one starts off red, and it goes a very similar color to the build-up that you had over near that video chip. So my guess would be that the build-up you had near the video chip is just glue, nothing more, nothing sinister. We'll clean up as much as we can down there, just to give it that nice look, nice clean look. There we go. Again, this is very clean now. A couple of minor bits that we'll come back and clean up. But again, if you're looking for clean pads, this board is fairly up there with some of the cleanest I've seen. One more little go over here. Okay. Now, you can probably tell we're not taking that much care of the board at this point, because there's nothing on the board that can cause any issues at this point. No screen or anything like that we're worried about, So I'm going to remove glue here. Again, this is not something everyone does, but it is something I do on my builds. And we'll probably come back to this video chip and just give it an extra clean and probably reflow those 2 pins, particularly that one there. Throw a bit of flux down on it. Looks alright though. Bizarre. Not seen that on any other board that I've been dealing with. So shortly, with all the caps off, you can test for red light boot. We're not going to. We're just gonna get to the job at hand. So let's get these other caps ready here. So you got this one. I believe this is a 10 UF that I'm going to put on there. And this one here. Again, this is the same value cap. So we will just slot all that good stuff in, clean up. And then we're going to go back. We're going to go back and we are going to clean up the glue again. Oh yeah. OCD about the glue, my friend. OCD. And if you can see on this, it might look like I'm being a bit heavy-handed, but I can assure you we are not. We are just cleaning, making a mess, and it always looks worse before it looks better. And then a little clean up here, and boom, like new. I wish they wouldn't use all this nasty glue. Not only does it smell, I'm sure I've had boards where the glue has caused some issues, but I guess it's pretty rare. It certainly hasn't on this board or any others I've done recently. Good old knife tip doing its job, putting in the work. Right, there we go. We can see all the traces now rather than the glue, which is exactly what you want. So I think we are going to quickly come in while we've got a second, because we don't need these anymore. So we'll clean them out. We're going to clean these out. We will come back and clean the rest out, but the CFL is a beast that we can deal with right now. There we go. Nice and cleaned out holes. You can actually see through the board now. Yeah, nice cleaned out hole. There we go. Look. Good. So that's the 2 CFL holes cleaned out. We'll go back and we'll hit the fuse holes as well. But I think what we're going to do first is we're going to start removing stuff, and probably at a fair rate. Ooh, what's the activity here then? Okay, someone's just replied to an email. Right, don't worry about those. Right, what am I looking for? I just need I need that. So, and I need just what are you? You're a single referee. Referee? Yeah, that'll do. It doesn't really matter what one we use, but anyway. Okay. So this is the bit where I'm going to need some more flux. So I think we're going to hit up R33, R34, Q6, basically everything around here. You alright, my lovely wife? And we want to do this without causing any damage up here to the wheel. So the best way to do this from experience is get the knife in there. Remember, knife is the way forward for these particular. And there's that one. Next one along. I don't want to hit your volume wheel, you see, your other wheel. So I'm just going to melt some of this. And this one's always a bit tricky, so I tend to go in this way until it moves and then pull it like so. So that's good, and then just clean up the cap above it because that cap stays. Nice new solder on that cap. And then we're going to hit the this one here, but again we want to avoid two things here. We want to avoid the wheel and this cable. So it's getting the right angle on it and then just lifting it out. So that's three resistors down. So next up on our list is R57 and R56. So R56 is here. Might need to hit it with a bit more flux. No, R56. Where you gone? Well, R56 is off the board, but I've just lost it. I will probably find that in a minute on the board somewhere. Ain't a problem. And R57. Come on, R57's off. So that's 3, 4, 5 resistors removed. Don't you hate that when you flick something somewhere? Oh, I think that's it there. Okay. What else are we removing here? R41, R38, R44. So let's get R41. Which is that one there. So that's R41. And sorry, R38. I said that one earlier, didn't I? R38 is one of those ones I can never remember. But R38 is this little bad boy here. One that is kind of hard to get to. All temps wise 350, that's good. So that's R38 off the board. Good. R44, R43. So R43 is this one down here. So we'll pull that. And we're going to pull R44 as well for good measure. Going from the other side. This is what I'm saying. Sometimes you just got to, you know, play it by ear. Go in from a different side. There's a little bit of corrosion around this one, and it really doesn't want to move, and I don't want to damage anything. Perfect. There we go. I'll come back and clean all that up. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 resistors down. Oh God, I've lost that other one again somewhere. Never mind. I'm sure I'll find it again in a minute. There it is. How to lose a resistor in 2 seconds flat. Cool. Right, what's next then? So we are going to go in at the coils next. So we want L2, which is that coil there. Now, I always remove these the same way. And that is heat, like so, load of solder, wiggle, and out it comes. Job's easy, right? And what else do we want to move? We want to move C. So we want to move these caps here. So we're going to hit this cap up here. Same process. Lots of heat. Oh, well, I say lots. Put a ton of the good solder on it. Rub. And it will drop. Like so. Looks easy, right? takes time to perfect. Looks easy, takes time to perfect. So same with this one. I'm going to use my knife tip. Going to get in there good. Plenty of solder. And move up and down. And it's going to fall out like so. Next one, not so easy, because it is the big transformer. Now, you don't need to remove the transformer, but as I keep saying, clean a job. So get the transformer removed. I do the same thing I do on all the others. So you're scraping it up, adding some heat, adding some solder. But the only difference with this one being is that what we're going to do is we're not actually going to, we're not heating the board. We're not going to add the hot air. We don't, where we can, we don't use hot air on Game Gears. But what we can do is just keep that heat going, and it will start kind of falling down the board a little and start kind of peeling away and just loosening itself off a little bit. Then I'm going to come in with our bad boy. Now, I've got a couple of different ones of these. I just quite like this one at the moment, probably because it's a bit worn and it seems to be doing a fair job at the moment. So, whatever. Lots of people have got this expensive ones. I'm quite happy with my cheapo one. And let's be honest, if it works, right? Looking good. Again, I will come back and I always clean all these holes out for any mod. So I'm not going to just leave it in a mess. I am going to make it good so that when it goes back home, it is the best it can be. And this is where the fun comes, because now this should, if I've done my job properly, which I appear to have. So top side's out. There we go. It's now starting to fall. And then the final stage is just a little bit of pressure both sides, a little bit of heat into the board, and there we have it. One transformer removed, no issues. Again, we can go back over these, a little bit of cleanup, but so far so good. So next step, bag these up, because the large majority of components now are removed. Oh, well, mostly. So a couple of those I've got here. So I'm just going to bag up components here. 1, 2, 3. All right, get off. Okay, if we lose the odd resistor here, you'll have to forgive me. They are small components. I think they're 0204, so fairly small. I mean, it's not switch small, but it's small. Right. That gives us a nice look at the top side of the board now with where we're at. So basically everything here removed. Now we're going to go back and hit these transistors, because those are the next thing on my list for a good old getting rid of. So Q6, Q4, Q3. So we're going to remove Q3, Q4, and Q6. So same process again, but with these, because of the size and because you need a fair amount of heat into them to really get them moving without damaging things. We're going to get some flux down. Still 350 degrees. Everything we're doing here today is I've got 350 degrees set, and I'm not going to change that at all for anything on this mod. So then we come in at 350. Again, you're going to probably have to add loads of now this is basically what people use low melt solder for, right? Just put a load of solder down on it, and what I've found is my solder is pretty good. It's old, but it's good. You see how quickly and easy that came off? And it's the same thing. All I'm doing is applying heat, adding solder, pushing the component off. And burning the component as I'm going. Cool. And here, this is the one that always goes wrong. It doesn't go wrong in terms of modding, but it tends to go wrong quite a lot on the board itself. So, you know, you get funny issues with brightness and whatnot. Normally something on this circuit. Tell you what, before we start losing these, we're going to pop them in the bag. You know, I like to give everything back. Let's be honest, if someone wanted to return this to stock later, all of the components are there to do so. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but you could. So I don't want to lose that little cap next to it. I mean, it's not the end of the world if I do, but I'm trying not to. But I'll tell you something for nothing. This Q6 is always a nightmare to remove without damaging anything. Not my favourite one at all. And there we have it. Removed, no damage. Cool. So, right, now just gonna go around and mop up some of these areas. I don't like too much solder being left on the board. I don't like the, you know, I'm not necessarily, the board's got to be completely perfect, but it certainly shouldn't have any nasty solder or any solder bridges on the stuff that we've taken off. So that's where we just go around and give it a bit of a clean, you know. Not the half-assed job. We're going to do a proper job. Proper job. Let's hit this bad boy up. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. And last but not least, we're going to head up. Oh, that's really hot. I mean, I probably would be if I was just attacked with a 350 degree thing. This area here, nice and clean. Okay. So one of the beauties of removing that transformer as well is it gives us much better access to this top cap for soldering. Again, none of this is necessary, but it's nice. It's nice. What we got there? There's a little something there. What we're going to mop up. So we're just kind of going down and reviewing all of the stuff that we've done, and any bits that are still on the board we're going to wick up. There's a little bit of metal. Seems like a leg maybe. Kind of stuck there, so we're going to do that. But this looks really good. So this is it. This board is kind of prepped now. Basically fully prepped for a mod. So yeah, I've got it's pretty sticky, lots of flux on it. So we're gonna go and give it a clean up. We're gonna put all of our components in our jiffy bag for send back. So this bag's starting to get a bit heavy now. This has got a ton of components in it, but I do believe that's everything we need now removed. Am I right? I mean, yeah, it's looking good, pretty good. We will attach to C36, so we need that. We've got some solder bubbling out of all of these coils and stuff that we removed, but we're going to come back and clean up and use the old solder sucker to clear out all those vias. We just want it to be clean, clean, clean. So we are cleaning as we go, cleaning every step, cleaning the board. And I'm going to show you some of the worst affected parts that we saw under the microscope, how they are right now. Well, I should probably clean them up a little bit more, but I'll show you anyway. And then we're going to call it a night for a little bit. We're not going to call it a night all night, probably. We might come back a little later, and depends on what we're doing. And there's that other resistor that I lost. Again, I keep losing this one. This is like the 4th or 5th time I've found it and lost it. But anyway, let's put that into the bag with all the other stuff. Like I say, I like to return it as complete as I can, with little to no damage to the stuff that's been removed. If you want to return it to stock, mate, you can send it back. I'll return it to stock. It's not a problem, because all of the components are here to do so. But I mean, even so, the components aren't expensive to turn it back to stock. But why anyone would want to put it back to stock, I have no idea. And there's that. Okay. So that's looking good. I mean, a recap. Oh, hello. Where did you come from? So I have just found a capacitor, which that looks like a 1UF from a different board. Where did that come from? Well, what I can tell you is it's not from this board. No, 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 no. We need one cap there, one cap there. Yep, 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 yep. Oh, yep. I'm just giving the board over and once over to make sure I've not removed the cap by accident. Nope. 100% won't be on this side because there's no bloody caps on this side. Right, excellent. It's not from this board. I think it's either from the... Oh, I tell you what it is. I removed my microscope has got a load of switch parts on it. So, yeah, that would have been off of a switch. It's either like 100 picofarad or something, 100 nanofarads or whatever it is they use on a switch. It's, yeah. I think it's one from around BQ area. I don't know. Do a lot of switches. Could be anything. Don't really care. It's obviously not that important to me. Again, this is just in the cleaning up as we go. I'm not going to leave burnt flux on your board. It's not pretty. And look at that. That's looking pretty clean, right? Looking pretty clean. We're going to be using this wire. This is the wire for our mod. Keep it white. And just seeing if there's any more areas I want to clean up that maybe got a little bit grim from, I don't know. I don't know what they might have been grim from, but whatever it is they're grim from, we'll fix them up. Let's have a look in here. So just gonna get a microfiber and see where the board appears to be sticky. So we've got a bit of sticky down here, and we'll just gently massage the sticky, and we'll clean it all up with a microfiber once we're done. We do need to start checking voltages, so there will be some voltage checks. There's a tiny bit of corrosion up this side of the board, but that's pins 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, none of which are required. But again, it's such minor corrosion, I can probably just clean it up with my iron, which we'll give it a go in a bit. We're just going to Clean the areas we've been round. Anything we've done, we want to be super, super clean about, and we want this board to go back sparkling. And to do that, look at that. Oh, that is clean as a daisy. Look at that. And we removed all of the points here. And yeah, I mean, this side of the board's still sticky, but that side is looking utterly lovely. I don't like this black mark in here, whatever it is, so I'm going to come back over it and just... So this wasn't anything that I have done, but I don't like it. So it feels a bit tarry. I don't know what they use on it, but I'm going to hit it up with the isopropyl and the rest of it until it's gone. Like I say, I like to really make sure, go to town on these and make sure they are clean when they go back. Old boards, I just like it clean. I mean, I'll be honest, on my personal one, not so bothered. As long as it's clean around all of the contacts for the buttons and stuff, I've generally just kind of, yeah, that'll do. But on other people's boards, I just feel like, to receive something back that has no corrosion, it's been cleaned properly. Any via that I've used is clean of solder, not big lumps of solder coming out of them. All of the voltage is checked. Things like this where you've got a little kind of missing bit of solder on a pin, I'm going to just touch that up. Anything that looks bad, I'll touch up. But I like them to be super, super clean, as I've said many times. So let's hit this side of the board with the microfiber and everything else. And again, because it's a customer board, I'm going to go to town with look at this. I'm even going to clean that off probably. Yeah, I'm going to go to town with things like solder mask, for example. I don't want to leave exposed wires from the mod, so I will mask most of it into place. Really just hold it in place and give a nice firm. But I want it to last for years, I don't want them coming back ever. So if I can achieve that, then that's a massive win right there. So, and the way to achieve that is a little bit of microfiber and a little bit of effort and time. Nothing more. And I do hope that it gets opened up in the future and someone looks at it and goes, you know what? That's a pretty damn good job. Because we pride ourselves on good work. I think we all do. No one likes to send something out and it be criticised, right? Right? I'm right, aren't I? You certainly can. Can you give me just a few minutes? And I will call this a day in a moment. I'm just finishing off the cleanup of it. And then I will come and spend some time with you, my lovely. Because I wasn't intending on doing this all night. I can come back to this later, There we go. Look at that. Oh, I'm sure these guys would be more than happy with that. There's definitely, I'm not 100% on this pad down here. I mean, it's nice. It's good. Most people would be like, yeah, that's not a bad pad at all. But I think I just want a little bit more scrapey, a little bit more clean up on that pad. So I'm going to quickly hit that pad with some wick. Now, I find that for cleaning pads, the best way is a bit of wick that's actually got solder on it. not a fresh wick, so you're going to be melting a bit of solder and you're going to be, just sort of giving it some love there. And it tends to do a better job of kind of cleaning that. Look at that. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Right. This is now what I would call an acceptable job. Well, it's probably a bit better than acceptable, but you know what I mean. Look at that. Okay. So I think I'm happy there. I think what I'm going to do for the moment is I'm going to come back to this in a couple of hours. So this we're going to call part one. Part one is prep. Mod prep. So this is the end of the prep. Prep phase over. Next up, when we come back to it, we will be doing a final bit of cleanup around here because some of these vias have still got soldering. And as I said previously, if I've attacked a via, I'm going to remove all the solder from it and leave a clean via as much as possible. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got these two, 7, 8, these two vias here. And this one here, this one, this one, this one. So there's 8 over there we want to fix, 2 over here we want to fix, and empty the stuff out of. And then we are going to move on to bigger and better things. So we'll be attaching our, easy tiger. We will be attaching our Game Gear mod board into here like this. But before we do that, what I like to do is, someone's bought something. Should we have a look, shall we? Shall we have a look? Maybe it's a Game Gear. Have we sold a Game Gear? No, but we've sold... Someone has enjoyed the purchase of a MLCC recapped soundboard. Nice. Okay, so that's another one to send tomorrow. So one of my soundboards has gone. Anyway, so one of the things that really frustrates me about these boards, these mod boards, is the fact that this bottom section here fouls the hole. It is such a terrible design. But one thing I know for sure is a way to fix it. So what I always do is that. Now that might look a bit brutal, and you might think, Jesus, Vince, what you're doing? You're just chopping up a board that's brand new. And I am, yeah, you're right. I'm chopping up a board that's brand new. And you know what? I don't give a damn. Because now, when I line it up, I've actually got space to screw this bottom retaining bracket into my 3D printed bracket. Why they don't just supply it with this chopped off, like I've just chopped it off, rather than sort of round it up, I don't know. It's a complete mystery to me. If you know why, tell me. I'd be excited to find out why someone doesn't just provide it sensibly cut so that you can actually get a screw in this hole to secure the bracketry.
Hello?
Hello. Who have I got?
Hi. It's me.
Hey, you're back.
Yes.
So,
one question.
Yeah, go for it.
Who were you talking to?
I am just talking to myself. But that's okay. I'm talking to myself so that when I upload this video, it's not just me working away, and it's me explaining in some way what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And
you have a YouTube channel?
I will put it on YouTube, and I'll send you a link very shortly. So I'll just give you the rundown of where we're at. So we have, and then I'm going to call it for a couple of hours while I go and chill for a bit. So, but I will tell you where we're at. All of these components have been removed. In here, you've got 8 resistors, 9 resistors even. You've got the large 35 volt coil. You've got the little L2 coil, little 35 volt transformer, L2 coil. You've got the C70, and then you've got the other cap from up the top here. I don't know what the number is, C69. You've got the Q4, Q3, and Q6 transformers. all in this package. So I removed all of that off the board, and I've given the board a bloody good clean. So you can see all of these, there used to be components sticking through here.
Yeah.
So I've just removed all of those, emptied out the holes, cleaned all of those up. I've cleaned up your LCD panel down here. I've removed all the fuses. I've removed the CFL tube. I've removed basically everything. This is now fully prepped for the mod. It's ready for being modded. So really clean board now. All of the corrosion's gone. I've tested some of the traces just to be sure. Well, I say I've tested. I've visualed them, eyeballed them for now. But I will go back and put them under the scope if I need to. But so far so good. No damage anywhere. So we haven't damaged anything in doing it, which is the normal. People damage this wheel all the time. I don't know why. Well, I mean, you've got to get at, I'll show you. So you do have to get at a resistor right next to it here, and then another resistor just up you've got to remove. Then there's a coil just, this is Q6 here. This is a transformer, a transistor that deals with backlight. But because we're running backlight off of our V3 mod board, we are not going to use any of that circuit. So we've removed that entire circuit. Yeah, all of the 35 volt circuit we've removed because we don't want 35 volt being pushed out. Otherwise, we'd have to cut wires here, which I don't know about you, but I'd rather not be cutting wires.
Yeah.
You know, I think that I like to keep it as clean as possible. You know, worst case scenario, if I find out these are bad, I've got replacement ones that are much nicer, much cleaner. But I don't replace them unless I have to. You know, because you want to keep it as original as possible, with the ability to put it back to stock if you want to, but also at the same time, you know, make it a very clean mod. You know, I don't. Yeah, I set it up so that it's as clean as possible. I don't want you to open it up and think, oh my god, he's done a shitty job.
So this should be easier than the one before, since the pads are
Oh, believe
present,
me,
right?
yeah, this is a clean board. It's going to be much easier than the one before. I won't be chasing faults or other issues. I've already prepped up the mod board. So if you when you go back and watch the video, if you want to watch the video, I'm just going to save it up and take a couple of hours break. But when you go back and watch the video, you'll see that I've cut sections off of this so that when it all lines up back in here, it will line up nicely and I can get a screw down this hole. Because for some reason, the people that designed this mod board have not done a very good job at the design. But you'll be, so you see this chip, the Xilnix chip?
Yeah.
This is a custom FPGA. So field programmable gate array. So Xilnix were bought, I believe, they were purchased by Advanced Micro Devices, AMD. Xilinx.
I guess.
These are now part of AMD. So this has got effectively this board has got an AMD chip on it. And it's this FPGA here. So this is your field programmable gate array. I'm not sure what these two do actually, but very similar to the Retro 6 board. By the way, I hate this board. These boards are horrible for mods. This board is a better board, but these boards are much more expensive. But Retro 6,
Why is that?
why?
Yeah,
It's
why
because
is it like not good?
it's because Retro 6. Why don't I like it?
Yeah.
I don't like it because I don't like the way that the back is not properly configured for all of the jumpers. So if you look at this one here, on the back you've got these vias here, and these vias, you've got VCC, ground, GGSMS, you've got all of your data, you've got Game Gear Sync, and all of your clock signals. You can wire the entire board basically from one side of the board. Whereas this Retro 6 one, it's all wired from the front side. So, and their instructions basically point you at either running wires around the board, which is a bit crap. No one wants to run wires around the board if you can help it. You want to be either everything clean on the same side of the board. So these guys force you to run wires like around the board, or they force you to bridge off of these resistors or just a little via down here. And as we all know, a connection to a via is not the most solid connection. I'd much rather be soldering like to these pins, because that's a nice solid connection it's going to last the test of time, you know. Whereas these, yeah, I'm not convinced that the quality of this board is up to scratch. So I'm not and given yours is a single ASIC, this board is great for single ASICs. So I'm going to give you the funny playing board because I think it's better. But you can use this clean screen board. What I found with the clean screen boards though is, honest opinion, is that the brightness functionality on this board, so this board here has brightness functionality built in to the board, whereas this uses the 35-volt reference rail over here to control brightness. So you can get away with this board here on a Game Gear that doesn't have that rail, whereas this one kind of needs that rail, and that rail is often a rail that goes wrong. So quality of this board, in my opinion, and the price as well. So price to quality is just not close to what you get here. They also, what frustrates me as well, they're using the Xilinx chip, and if you look through it, you can see it's a Xilinx chip. But what they've done is they've put like these stickers over it so that nobody, well, in an attempt, I guess. Yeah, they've kind of, they're proper on there. I think they're heated on, so they're not coming off. You'll never get it off. But they're trying to hide what they're using. And in my opinion, someone else has bought something. We're on fire today. People are buying Game Gear boards like crazy. I've received the soundboard, but no sound coming out. Can you let me know what can be done in this situation? I tested that soundboard. I can tell you exactly what you've done wrong. You messed it up, haven't you? There's probably no sound coming out because their Game Gear is in terrible condition. But I'll get them into a stream in here and I can help them out. I will message them and say, yep, no worries. Come speak to me and show me your board and I'll tell you what's wrong with it. But yeah, I'm going to leave this here for now. I'm going to stop this video, and this is the first step to the mod. So now all I've got to do is recap it with lovely nice caps. Attach our mod board into here, like so. We can attach up the mod board. And then once we've got our mod board all attached up and soldered in place, interestingly, your board's got a slight bow to it, so we'll fix that bow while we're at it. And this mod board should give it some stability. And then, yeah, and then we'll wire it all up and we'll get you going. But next step, in the next video, you'll see a working mod, I'm sure. So a recap job on these takes me 10-15 minutes. Because I've been talking, if I was doing this without streaming the content, I can do a mod in about an hour generally. But I've already been working on it for 2 hours. Because, yeah, I wanted to stream it. I want to put that video out there so you can watch it. And we'll go from there. But yeah, I'm going to call it a day there for a bit. And I will let you know if I carry on pushing out the stream in a little bit. But yeah, this is for a user on here. This is for a guy called Blue Fates. So this actually came in from Canada today. And yeah, I'm dealing with that from Canada. So anyway, I will catch you in a little bit, sir.
Okay.
Enjoy. Laters, dude.
Bye.